Start the clock.
Ooh.
Is there some sort of fancy dress thing on this evening?
I don't think so. Why do you ask?
Well, that fellow over there.
Oh
This is a mummy
no.
monster thing.
You're the only one who can see it.
Is there a doctor?
I know of one. I'm loving the costume design. It's a period piece for sure. Oh my god. Love it. Love it. Oh, that is science fiction magic right there. Oh my god. Yes. That's how you start an episode, folks. Ah.
Your train awaits, my lady.
Okay.
Wonderful.
They've patched up a bit.
There were many trains to take the name Orient Express.
Quite the iconic name.
Only one
That is.
in space.
Yeah.
You're doing it, Ken.
Yeah,
Smile.
I'm smiling.
That's the sad smile. It's a smile, but you're sad. It's confusing.
Now she was just sad.
She said, hatred is too strong an emotion to waste on someone that you don't like. Not the way you do it.
Can I talk about the planets now?
Hey, he might see that he needs to change a bit, right? For a friend.
Train in space. Sounds pretty cool.
So what are you saying? Just because he's brought me somewhere cool, I shouldn't dump him?
Well, one, you can't dump him because he's not your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Two, dumping him sounds a little scorched earth. You still basically get on. At least it's not dangerous.
About that.
Yeah.
Because you know what this sounds like, don't you? No. Do tell me. A mummy that only the victim can see. I was being rhetorical. I know exactly.
He needs to
what
talk
this
to
sounds
Clara.
like.
He needs a companion to bounce these ideas off of. Ooh. A life extender.
Beautiful bit of kit, isn't it, sir? It's like driving around in a portable hospital.
Yes, well, it didn't do Mrs. Pitt much good, did it?
Got me there, sir. Certainly got me there. Well,
Step
I know
in.
that when I find a man fiddling with a chair that someone died in, it's best to play my cards close to my chest. Perkins, chief engineer.
The doctor. Nosy Parker.
You didn't do anything wrong. Difficult people. And they can make you feel all sorts of things.
Yeah. Ah. Okay then.
I'm your worst nightmare.
Oh, have some of that.
Mystery shopper. Oh, great. Really? That's your worst? Look, I'm a mystery shopper. I could do with an extra pillow, and I'm very disappointed with your breakfast bar and all of the dying.
Passenger manifests, plan of the train, and a list of stops for the past 6 months.
Quick work, Perkins. Maybe too quick.
Yes, sir. I'm obviously the mummy. Or perhaps I was already looking into this.
It's immortal, unstoppable, unkillable.
Can we get a new expert?
I'm sure the doctor's going to have his run-in with this mummy.
Life would be so much simpler if you liked the right people. People you're supposed to like. But then I guess there'd be no fairy tales.
Insightful. He's got himself a few guest companions.
Clara! Is that you?
Oh boy.
Hello, can you hear us?
If that red light goes green.
There's a sarcophagus.
Is it in there?
Oh, it's gone green.
I
Oh god.
we might just be about to find out.
The passengers. Experts in alien biology.
Ah. Get them all together.
physics. If I was putting together a team to analyze this thing, I'd pick you.
Okay.
And the facade drops away.
And maybe we should just throw this thing out in the airlock. No, no!
Oh! Come on now.
Looks like they've thought of that.
Yeah, they're
What
not
if
gonna
we
just.
say no? Down tools.
Then you
Refuse
die.
to work.
Perkins, start the clock.
Approximately 1.8 meters tall. Actually, seeing it in the flesh isn't nearly as rewarding as I thought it might be. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Listen to me. You can see this thing. We can't. Tell us what you can see. Even the smallest detail might help us save the next one.
The next one.
Yeah, you're a
You
goner.
mean You can't save me. Tell us what you can see. This is my life, my death. I'm gonna fight for it how I want.
Fair enough.
I give you
10 seconds.
Please terminate the call and return to work.
That's gonna be a difficult sight.
I think you should do as it says.
Oh my god.
You really think you can sense psychological issues?
It seems so. Why?
Because I might have a few.
When you said I'd lost the stomach for fight, I wasn't wounded in battle as such, but my unit was bombed. I was a sole survivor.
Survivor skills.
On me. Post-traumatic stress.
PTSD.
You know, for a doctor, your bedside manner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what? More tech? What? More? A countdown clock? Something charging?
A man just died in front of us. Can we not just have a moment?
No, 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 no. We can't do that. We can't mourn. People with guns to their heads, they cannot mourn. We do not have time. If only I could see this thing.
Don't even joke about that.
I'm not joking about it. 1 minute with me, and this thing, it will be over.
You know, Doctor, I can't tell if you're a genius or just incredibly arrogant.
Well, on a good day, I'm
Bit of
not.
both.
Okay, so you can save her. Right?
Of course not. Why would you think that? This is another chance to observe it in action.
As it kills her.
Of course, as it kills
She's not gonna like that.
Well, I don't know. Lie to her. Tell her I can save her. Whatever it takes to get her here.
Yeah, his attitude's being noticed by many. The lamb to the slaughter.
Well, he has tried to entice me here before. Free tickets, mysterious summons.
Ah.
Even the TARDIS one. And you know how difficult.
You knew this was no relaxing break. You knew this was dangerous.
I didn't know. I certainly hoped.
Okay, this. You see this, but you lied to me again. And now you've made me lie. You've made me your accomplice. What?
Your grief, your trauma, your resentment. And now, it's mine.
How about that, Clark?
It's gone.
I'm so pleased to finally see you. I'm the doctor, and I will be your victim this evening. Are you my mummy? You can't hurt me until my time is up. Won't let you stop until the war is over. We surrender.
0.
I can see it again.
Oh.
The clock has stopped. You're a relieved soldier.
Yeah. His duty's done. Love is fit.
So you saved everyone.
No, I just saved you, and I let everyone else suffocate.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just my cover story.
So you were pretending to be heartless.
Would you like to think that about me? Would that make it easier? I didn't know if I could save her. I couldn't save Quell, I couldn't save Moorhouse. There was a good chance that she'd die too. Sometimes the only choices you have are bad ones. But you still have to choose. Well, I suppose whoever I did get in might just be easier to have them stay on board for a while.
Is this?
I don't suppose you'd know of anyone.
No. Sorry, Doctor, but I don't think I do. That job could change a man.
Yes, it does. Frequently.
I know it's scary and difficult, but do you love being the man making the impossible choice?
Why would I?
Because it's what you do. All day, every day.
It's my life.
Doesn't have to be.
Go on.
An addiction.
Well, you can't really tell if something's an addiction till you try and give it up.
And you never have.
Let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
He's fine with it.
Sorry.
Danny, he's fine with the idea of me and you knocking about. It was his idea that we stopped, but he's decided he doesn't mind, and neither do I.
It's a big change of heart.
Yeah, they happen.
Seriously?
Look, as long as you get me home safe and on time, everything is great. I am so sorry. I've had a wobble. It's a big wobble, but it's fine. Forget
It's
about
not
it.
a promise
Sure,
that
give you some
you can
planets.
really make,
Well, I'm
can you?
glad that you said that.
Safe at all times.
So you sure about that?
Are you? Have you ever been sure?
Then what are you waiting for?
Right then, so look at that. Quite the happy ending. Quite the happy ending in comparison to the last episode. And of course, you know, that's really quite the intense ending. Really, a lot of tension was built up in that ending. And if I'm being honest, I think this little time skip really kind of takes away from some of the tension that was built up. I mean, I think it actually takes all of that tension and just kind of sets it aside, right? My expectation was that maybe for at least one episode, it might be just the Doctor out there by himself, right? And then maybe they'll kind of cut to Clara just living her life, right? And then kind of maybe struggling a bit, coming to terms with how things played out. That was, I don't know, that was essentially my thought process going into this episode. But no, a bit of a time skip. You know, they've clearly kind of talked it out a bit. And look at that, a pre-planned goodbye, right? The last hurrah. Isn't that something for the Doctor, who is really terrible at goodbyes and hates goodbyes? But this Doctor is able to do this pre-planned goodbye. Now, of course, you know, one of the main things about this Doctor is that, yes, on the surface, he's really quite pragmatic, and for that reason appears to be quite cold. But, you know, I think it's one of those cases and situations that essentially requires the audience to infer, you know, a few things for sure. And on that front, you know, I've got to say this era, the Capaldi era, it's really taking a deep dive into the psychology of these characters. That includes the Doctor himself as well, of course. I think it's doing that much more than ever before. I think it's got a lot of great subtext and a lot of great discussion about life and the things that make people tick and how people do tend to make the decisions that they do, right? So I've been loving that approach in this series. You know, it's something that's been really quite noticeable in comparison to the last 7 series. So yeah, you know, I think as of this point, it's safe to say that I'm really quite enjoying Capaldi and this era of Doctor Who. You know, the thing was, in the comments, I used to see a lot around the time, you know, Matt Smith's era's about to end, or was coming to an end, and I was about to get into Capaldi. The comments that I kept kind of coming across a lot, you know, a lot of them said, oh, you know, stick to it. You'll like Capaldi. You'll like him at some point. And, you know, I've got to say, I didn't really feel like that at all, because I've kind of clicked since day one. You know, I've been on board with this new Doctor, Capaldi's Doctor, since day one, because it felt so fresh and different and unique from everything I've experienced so far, right? Everything's stripped away at this point, right? All of that, it's been stripped. And let's not forget that this Doctor is still trying to find himself, right? That crisis of confidence is still there. You know, it might not be as clear or you know, as clearly depicted on screen since the early days, some of the earlier episodes, but it's still there beneath the surface, right? You know, that aspect of it, him truly finding himself and truly understanding the type of person he is as this Doctor, that is going to take some time, I think, right? And that feels natural, that feels right. That, you know, he's going to have a lot of these experiences, you know, with his companion Clara, who of course sticks around, and I'll get into that aspect of it, of course. And then, of course, a lot of tricky situations that keep coming up and how he behaves in those moments. Now, let's kind of go back to that ending. That really does feel quite happy on the surface, but beneath the surface, I think there's some concerning things going on here now, right? Listen, first of all, you know, she asked the question about addiction, right? Is it addictive? You know, so listen, at this point, I'm not sure if the Doctor is, you know, addicted to making the impossible decisions, but it's starting to feel like that Clara is certainly addicted to this lifestyle. She is addicted to traveling in time and space. She is addicted to, I don't know, how she feels on these trips, how she feels around the doctor, though that is really complicated as well, right? At times it feels like they're actually a mirror of each other. Listen, I think it's pretty clear, right, that this series 8 episodes in, has done the most for her character and progression and development. She is a fantastic character as a companion. And listen, she's not presented as that impossible girl anymore. No. This is someone that is believable, realistic, flawed. She's flawed, that's for sure. And then going back to this whole concept of her being addicted to this lifestyle and not being able to give it up, not being able to make that choice, right? Addiction can have consequences, right? And a lot of times your loved ones can feel those consequences as well, right? So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, right? Her life over here, her and Danny Pink, and then this life, and how they just don't feel like they're just going to mesh. It was feeling really similar to The Power of Three, right? That episode. There, I was about to say there, it kind of felt like a positive, happy thing that they do decide to kind of continue. But I remember in that discussion, I said I had a little bit of concern. And of course, all of us know how that ended, right? Rory and Amy. Really similar feeling here, right? Really similar feeling. And if you've been around for a few years at this point, one of the discussion points I like to bring up a lot is companions knowing the right time to disengage, the right time to say goodbye, and sticking to it. You see that Clara does have the character to realize that she needs to walk, that maybe this is a good time to part, but she wasn't able to follow through. She just wasn't able to follow through. So of course, to me, these kind of things always kind of put me on edge, right? In terms of potential death flags, right? Oh, you could have gotten out, but you continued. So yeah, it remains to be seen if this particular and specific moment of her deciding to stay on, that big change of heart that has the doctor really quite shocked and surprised. And listen, she lied, there's this whole concept of being addicted, being an addict. She lied in that moment. Danny Pink didn't tell her that she has to stop doing this. Danny Pink has actually been really helpful. He's been really supportive. And I think he's been spot on about, make sure you have boundaries, right? Make sure the doctor knows that these are your boundaries, right? And then let me know. Let me know if he pushes you too far, right? And he has his own boundaries about this whole thing. Like I mentioned, a few episodes ago, that was around the time I really started to like Danny Pink as a character and started to see his part in all of this other than just, like a love interest. No. Danny Pink, yeah, I like him. Because you see here, once again, in this cameo appearance, he is quite impactful, isn't he? I mean, ultimately, it feels like Danny Pink is the one who's telling her it's okay. It sounds like you're not done. It's okay. And she gets a call from Danny Pink right at the end there. I thought the presentation of that scene is really quite interesting as she kind of keeps looking back at the doctor, right? As she is taking the call, about to take the call, she goes up the stairs and she looks back at the doctor. I think that I love you might have been for both of them, right? Two separate meanings, right? For Danny Pink, it's more of a romantic love. I love you. And for the doctor, I love you as a friend, right? And I can't just leave you, right? I have to continue. But again, like I said, some of the reasoning behind it is not just as clear cut as that, because ultimately her deeply mixed feelings about the doctor are not enough to offset this sense of adventure that she has, this addiction that she has developed. And then of course, throughout the episode, Clara does kind of get to tackle this imminent goodbye, this last hurrah, through conversations with people like Maisie, that moment in the hall. At that moment you see, and again, fantastic acting by Jenna Coleman, you see on her face the moment she realizes, oh, hold on, am I not going to see him ever again? At that moment she begins to realize, oh, if I truly say goodbye, I might not see him ever again. And you see immediately she is not okay with that idea or the notion of that possibility at all. And then of course, Maisie also delivers something quite poignant in that conversation they have inside of the train car. Beautifully shot, of course. Beautiful photography in this one. Beautiful lighting as well. I'll get to that aspect of it, the production elements of this. It's quite the hook. It's a fantastic hook. That's how you do a cold open. That's how you hook someone in and you keep them hooked, right? Yeah, I got too excited there. Let me kind of finish my point here. But she says something like, life would be easier if you liked the right person or right people or the people you're supposed to like, right? Yeah, but then there wouldn't be any fairy tales if that was the case. So let's see if this fairy tale has a happy ending, or once it does kind of get to that point. But let's shift the focus to the Doctor, Peter Capaldi's Doctor. Oh my goodness, I think this was him at his most Doctor, right? He just absolutely nails that unpredictable nature of the Doctor. He really does. My goodness, how about that climactic sequence, right? Him essentially trying to figure out the Foretold's true nature, and at the same time also trying to deal with and kind of figure out and explore essentially Maisie's own emotional damage at the same time, right? You see that Capaldi is just the right actor for this role. He is. He just nails it, right? These monologues are just so perfectly captured through his acting skills. Once again, you get to see that the Doctor's words are essentially his deadliest or most effective tool or asset. I mean, my goodness. And, I think all of these actors that they did get, be it Eccleston, be it Tennant, be it Matt Smith, and now Capaldi, I think all of them nail that aspect of it. They are able to deliver. But that being said, let me kind of touch up on something that is perhaps a bit more unique to this Doctor, the 12th, given his new nature, right? Given that it's all been stripped away, there's no more mask, no more facade. This Doctor, more so than any Doctor before him, is able to detach in a lot of these situations, right? And he's able to use death as data, right? To make sure that he can save as many as possible from that point on, right? It's a bit of a running theme. He doesn't allow himself to feel emotional in the moment because he's always kind of locked into that idea of, okay, that person, unfortunately, they're dead. And of course, inside he might be upset about the loss of any given individual, but he's dead set on keeping focused on the people that are alive, right? There's this great line in this episode: people that have a gun to their head do not have time to mourn, right? That's him personified in this episode. And also, as he does kind of allude to in that beach scene right at the end there, it's kind of about risk calculation, isn't it? More or less, right? He's really quite honest in that moment, really honest with Clara. And there's that really fantastic line of dialogue. I feel like that is a line of dialogue that I'm going to be thinking about quite a bit throughout this run and throughout this partnership of theirs. Doctor companion duo that is Clara and the 12th. Sometimes there's only bad choices, but you still have to make a choice. It was something along those lines, right? Or sometimes the only choices are bad choices, but you still have to make a choice. I think I'll get to see that in play, for sure, on many occasions, perhaps. And also, lastly, I don't want to forget about the guest appearance characters in this episode. There's some really great ones. Perkins probably being the best of the lot. I really liked him, and you see that there is a little bit of chemistry, with him and the Doctor. Hell, he even offers him the companion role. But throughout the span of that episode, you see that Perkins does kind of get to see the Doctor in action and gets to understand the type of person he is. Because ultimately, he is kind of tagging in as the voice of human empathy in this one, right? Because he is essentially the companion for this episode. Him, you've got the Professor, who I also kind of liked. Great character. You've got the Captain. I felt that there was this cheeky charm about Perkins, that character. And you see that the Doctor also felt that, right? But you see right at the end there, he declines the offer. And yeah, he's really spot on, isn't he? It feels like this kind of job could change a man, or taking on this type of job could change a man. And the Doctor agrees. He knows all about it. He knows all about it. He changes quite a bit from time to time, doesn't he? Or over time. Yeah. But yeah, I've got to say, I love the setting. As you know, I love these kind of settings, people stuck in a confined space that you cannot escape from. and you kind of just have to figure it out within that confined space. Trains are some of the most alluring and seductive settings for a story, in my opinion. They really are, right? Trains or spaceships in films, in science fiction films, spaceships that are in deep space, right? It's just you in deep space. There's no rescue. No one's coming for you. Those types of settings, yes, I just love that. I love it. I eat it up. And yeah, I really enjoyed the costume design. It felt authentic. It didn't feel cheap. But yeah, I think that does it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access to the next few episodes right now, or perhaps timer-based full length, consider checking out the Patreon page and supporting the channel, perhaps. If you're interested, the links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, if that's your thing, Twitter, Instagram. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 9. Until then, take it easy.